This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
All right, are you ready?
We are ready.
Good.
Clear your throat and let's go.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 186 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
We're now moving in to our 5th year, a half a decade of Skywalking Through Neverland.
That sounds awesome.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Obviously, he has choked him, and that was like, whoa, like I jumped in my seat.
Okay, I'm going to say it once again. Read Pop, y'all need to be looking at this GeekGirlCon.
For me, I have a lot more questions. I mean, Annie's scar was revealed, but without any conversation around it.
I'm not sure what orange is, but I like orange shirts.
That's not a color. That's not even a word.
Right? I know, it's amazing. I was like, dude, every Comic-Con needs this.
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland.
Here we go.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets Lair. It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Never land that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers! Are you ready to hear all about GeekGirlCon and find out how the Clone Wars micro-series wraps up? Then we want to welcome you to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are your podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars and Disney fandom. I am Richard Wolofsky, but everyone, please say hello to my sweetie wife, Sally. Whoa. That was a happy accident.
Works,
That's a happy accident.
Well, I was assuming you were going to say that.
That just fell out.
Okay.
Tell everyone why I slipped up and called you Sally.
Well, because if you're watching live right now, I am dressed as Sally.
And that is Sally from A Nightmare Before Christmas.
I have my Sally makeup on, so I'm all blue with little
the stitch makeup.
Stitches.
Yeah.
And I have my dress on.
Yes, this is one of the contenders for an upcoming Halloween event.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
We were taking some costume pictures and we thought, hey, why get out of the makeup? Wear it for our live recording.
Yeah.
And there you are.
Just because it's fun. Because when you put on your makeup, it takes a while. So you don't want to take it off. It's like a work of art. You know, like sometimes when I put on my makeup really nice for a night out and we go out and then when you come home, I'm just sad that I have to take it all off because it's artwork.
Well, normally you stand in the bathroom just looking at yourself.
Yes.
Just trying to...
Come to grips?
Yeah. Trying to utilize every possible second.
Yeah, that's not really true.
You're not taking selfies. Yes, it is true.
Okay.
All right, let's continue with the show.
Okay. Well, we like to start each and every show with a giant Wookiee hug. But we are starting to start every show with talking about our daily lives, which is fun too.
Well, we're talking about the pre-show that we do right before we start recording for the podcast show.
It's true.
So if you're a face hugger or a sky tuber, you get to see all this nonsense.
It's true, and people are interested in that. So if you want to be notified of that, make sure you're following us on Facebook, our Facebook page. Now on YouTube, if you subscribe to us, you will get notifications that we're live on YouTube as well, which apparently, according to the people who are watching us right now, the YouTube video is slightly better than that one. All right, so head to youtube.com/Skywalking Through Neverland to subscribe.
I just got a message from Samir. He wanted me to look at you creepily. How was that, Samir? Was that creepily?
No, that's kind of weird. I don't even know what to call that.
We're now taking suggestions from the sky tubers and the face huggers.
Okay.
Any way you want me to look at Sarah, go ahead and post a comment. All right, moving right along. Hey, let's tell everyone that we are recording this from Long Beach, California on October the 3rd, 2017. Now, Minnie, tell everyone what time it is.
It's 3:41. Good afternoon.
Ooh, this is a late one.
Yes, it is. That's why we're so punchy.
And we got to tell everyone that's only 28 more days until Halloween.
Ooh.
Which means it's time to hear this little ditty.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, silver shamrock.
No.
Every Halloween, we've got to play that.
I don't like it.
All right, does anyone remember what that's from? I asked the same question last year, so hopefully... Oh, Chris Marino got it with Halloween 3.
Right away.
I knew he would be the first one to get it. Kevin Raider Nerd, I expected you to come into a close second.
Uh-oh.
But
he wasn't
you know what?
typing fast enough.
It was a tough one. It was a tough one. Now, you know what? Speaking of Halloween, we've already done a ton of Halloween activities.
Yes, we have. We started early on September 17th with our Halloween cruise, Halloween on the High Seas cruise with our Skywalkers.
That's right. And right now, I'm enjoying a lovely beverage, a frosty beverage that is, from our Halloween in the High Seas cup that we got from the Chick Fence last year.
And actually, it's a pumpkin spice latte that's iced.
Exactly. Look at this. We're already knee-deep in Halloween. We did Mickey's Halloween party at Disneyland last week.
Uh-huh.
What were your high points on that?
Honestly, dressing you as Nick so I could look at you as a fox all day, Nick Wilde, and I was Judy Hopps, and also just being able to spend that time. It was the first time we brought our parents my parents to Mickey's Halloween party, and they had so much fun, and it was so fun to bring them around.
So I know for the longest time you wanted to do the whole Nick and Judy cosplaying thing, and to wear those big heavy costumes would be one thing, but then you suggested, hey, let's go in the Disney bounding outfits. And we posted a lot of those pictures on Facebook, so if you're part of our group, you'll see the great time we had because Nick and Judy didn't just do a photo op, they came out and ran around with the people.
I know, it was so amazing. So we had lots of fun with Nick and Judy Hopps. I mean, Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps.
Oh, you're getting into sequel territory there.
Yes.
Yeah, we went to, well, I had gone to Not Scary, Not Spooky Farm on Sunday, which is the kids' version of Not Scary Farm.
Okay.
And then I saw the movie It, which all works into my Halloween schedule.
Cool.
Yeah, so I can say at this point, being October 3rd, we're good. But there's always more. Always more Halloween
We're
fun.
not good, but there's more to do. Yes,
but do
exactly.
you know what really is good?
What?
What's coming up on today's show?
Okay, we're going to hear all about GeekGirlCon, which of course I went to over the past weekend in Seattle. And then Jocasta Drew, Kaplan, and Nitzan Harel, they join us as we wrap up our breakdown of the Clone Wars micro series. So we've been taking each of the 3 pieces of that series.
There's 3 seasons, but yet 2 volumes on DVD.
Okay.
So if that's confusing, tune in later on in the show and we'll explain how all that works.
We'll break it down.
Yeah. Now, we also have shout-outs, a Skywalker of the Week, and things we want to share. But first, let's hear from another fandom moment in our segment that we've just now called Pump Up the Fandom.
Hi, this is Russ Flores from Seen Unseen Disneyland and more Seen Unseen Disneyland. The thing that I think has helped elevate fandom, especially in the Disney world, is the ability to print books by yourselves. David Koenig was one of the first ones, and then by a lot of people is considered the grandfather of writing books about Disneyland, and he published his own without the help of other people or professional publishers. He got that information out, information that we wouldn't normally have access to. And since his books, a lot of people have joined in, including myself, of writing books about Disneyland, the history, the facts, and what you can do at the parks. And before any of that was possible, David had to break some ground. So I think that has really opened up the fandom for Disneyland to a wider audience. This is Russ Flores, author of Seen Unseen Disneyland and more Seen Unseen Disneyland. Remember, Neverland on Alderaan.
Russ makes a very good point in that now fans don't just have to buy a book. They can now make their own books and publish their own books. Many, many ideas floating around there. All right, Skywalkers. Now, if you have any ideas, please send them in to share@skywalkingthrough-neverland.com. Just send us in a 1-minute clip of what you think pushed fandom in a whole new direction. Can't wait to hear from you.
And it could be Star Wars, it could be Disney.
Could be Marvel, it could be anything.
Yes.
Anything that you think pushed fandom in a whole different way, upward and onward. All right, now, speaking of upward and onward, let's move on to Things We Want to Share.
Things we want to share. Things we want to share. Things we want to share.
So, Richard, I know this is something that you really want to share, so take it away.
Well, I just got word that we were accepted into the LosCon convention, which is held right here in Los Angeles the weekend after Thanksgiving, which is November 24th through 26th at the Los Angeles Airport Marriott right outside the LAX airport.
Wow, so it's not a Lost convention, it's
No.
LosCon.
Yeah,
like,
LOS.
right.
There you have your loss.
Okay.
CON. There you have your con. Now, this is a convention that we had gone to, Sarah, back in 2006 was the last time we went.
See, this is why I'm not remembering this. So this
Yeah.
was like before
All right.
I was into conventions, I think.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And we had premiered our fan film Day Jobs there.
Okay.
So that was the last time we had been there. But now, Craig Miller, our good friend Craig Miller, who we've had on the show many times and who did PR on Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, well, he put out that he was now one of the chairmen for LosCon.
Ooh.
So I immediately jumped right over there and said, hey, Craig, get us involved. He said, yeah, okay, great. He sent us a couple of applications. We submitted some ideas and both were accepted. One of which is we're going to do the panel we did at Star Wars Celebration Orlando, the celebrating 40 years of Star Wars fandom. We're going to do that at LosCon. So for any of the Los Angelinos who didn't get a chance to go to Orlando,
Ooh, yeah.
get the chance to see it now, and now we can update it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's exciting. So will it be interactive like at that convention as well?
Oh, very much so. Very, very much so.
Awesome.
And something I'm really excited is our second show, which is called Force Fun Challenges. Now, this is a variety show we've been putting together for the last couple of weeks where we really want to do a whole lot of games, like interactive games.
Mm-hmm. Like group games.
Group
Interactive-
games,
yeah.
exactly. Think Hollywood Game Night. If anyone's familiar with that show, Hollywood Game Night. And we're going to have a lot of really fun interactive games. And we were on the cruise this last week. We got so many ideas that we were just taking so many notes.
Yeah.
So now it's a business write-off. And combined with the games that we do for our game coordinating jobs, it's going to be a lot of fun. Sarah, your dad, Peter, is going to be joining us next week, and he's going to help us build some props.
Some props and set
And,
pieces.
yeah, your mom's going to make us some outfits for the show.
Yeah,
So
we'll
this,
probably work on that together. Yes, exactly.
This is going to be really exciting. And Din Arts and Culture, who you may see on our Facebook group, he comments a lot. He's part of the band F105, which we just mentioned a couple of episodes ago. We played his song Rebel Girl. Well, he's coming down here because he wants to become part of this.
Wow.
Yeah, he's very enthusiastic. And yesterday he and I talked on Skype and threw around some ideas, got lots of new stuff coming. And so I'm so excited. He's very, very excited. And we're going to have a big show.
Awesome. So it's going to be kind of a musical interactive game night show. Yeah, it's like a variety show.
Yeah. Without so much calling it a variety show, because that sounds too much like something from the 70s.
Right.
Which, to me is fine. However, this is going to be a variety show. Let's just
okay.
to narrow it down.
And we might even have a short interview in there as well, right?
And we are looking at having a guest who he's checking his schedule right now. I don't want to say who he is, but if he can make it, it will be perfect. Someone we just met recently. Someone from the Star Wars and Planet of the Apes universe,
Ooh.
Ewok universe, Prancer, tons and tons of stuff. So he's checking on his schedule right now, and if we can't get him, we'll find someone else. But yeah, we are, as you can tell, we are so excited about this, and we'll put out an event page on our group
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, we'll put out an event.
Yeah. Letting everyone know what date and time that we'll get.
Right.
but it's going to be over that weekend. So let us know if you're going to be in the area, and we will fill you in. Now, the convention prices, I believe, Craig just sent me a message that was going to be $35 per day. But you know what? Hit us up if you're interested in coming, and we'll see what we can do about getting maybe some group tickets. Once again, group games, some music, maybe a guest interview, and the LosCon convention, where it will be held the weekend after Thanksgiving, November 24th through the 26th at the Los Angeles Airport Marriott, right outside of LAX.
And okay, so one more question for me. What is the focus of this convention?
That's a very good question, because in the past, it's always been sci-fi fantasy literature.
Okay.
But now, since Craig is running things, the focus is, from what I can tell, not too much has been released, but a lot of the artwork for the convention is all based on Star Wars.
Ooh.
And and Howard Chaykin will be one of the special guests.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, but way to bury the lead.
Well, the lead is doing our show.
Well, I know.
Well, and Howard Chaykin he was one of the first original classic Marvel Star Wars comics artists.
Right.
He did the issue number 1 painting where Darth Vader was green and Luke had a pink lightsaber. And maybe we can get him as a future guest.
That would be amazing.
So yeah, good question. To reiterate, a lot of it, I'm guessing, will be Star Wars focused.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. I can't wait to see some of you Skywalkers there. And that was
Things We Want to Share. So these last couple of weeks, there have been Dragon Cons and Comic Cons and all kind of cons. But Sarah, last weekend, you and your fangirls did a different kind of con.
Yes, we did. We were at GeekGirlCon, and that's a 2-day convention in Seattle at the Washington State Convention Center. So this year it was held from September 30th through October 1st, so just those 2 days. And what GeekGirlCon is, it's a smaller con, which is nice, and it's really the celebration of the female geek is the tagline of it. So, and there was plenty of guys there too. And what that means, it's, female geeks of every shape, size, ethnicity, whatever, that, they're all here. Everyone's all inclusive. And it's just a very welcoming environment is what I found. So this was my and Teresa Delgado. This was our first time going to this GeekGirlCon, and Tricia Barr, of course, both of them are from Fangirls Going Rogue. Tricia Barr was there for her, I believe it was her 5th or 6th time at GeekGirlCon, and she was hosting or on 4 different panels throughout the weekend. So that was pretty exciting. We were there for her, filming. And now the reason that we were all there was because of this documentary that's happening, which is called Looking for Leia. And as of now, the documentary does not have a
release date?
A release date, exactly. But at the convention, Looking for Leia released about an 11 to 12 minute reel that was very, very emotional, because it kind of, what she does is she interviews girls about their stories of getting into Star Wars fandom, and there's younger girls on there who grew up with the Clone Wars. There's some older women on there who were maybe 28 or 30 when Star Wars first came out in 77 and were actually involved in like the zines, like the fanzines.
No,
exactly.
I gotta stop you here because I thought you were gonna say the older women who are like 28 and 38 years old.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about,
okay,
people who were older than you when Star Wars came out.
Is that possible?
It is.
Okay.
It's very possible. As well as everyone in between, and African American women.
So it's a convention that really celebrates diversity.
Yes, thank you. That is the right word.
And that's what Looking for Leia is doing as well, is celebrating girls within the sci-fi, fantasy, geek culture?
Yeah, well, what she wants to do is really bring forward the stories of women, of diverse women within the Star Wars fandom. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And throughout. So, like, the stories of people and all their different focuses. So, one point during the convention, Sunday morning, all us fangirls, all 3 of us, she interviewed each of us in turn, and shot us. So filmed us. How do you say it?
Record.
She recorded.
Filming is using an actual celluloid camera.
Okay.
She recorded you.
Well, we were in a video
shooting
shoot.
you.
How about this? We were in a video shoot, and we were each there, doing our own mini interview, and then we all came together to record our 50th episode of Fangirls Going Rogue, which they also shot.
And what was your focus on the 50th anniversary, 50th episode?
Our focus was GeekGirlCon, of course, and what happened there. And we also had Annalise Ophelian herself, who is the director of Looking for Leia. She came on to discuss a little of the directors of episode 9 and all the director shifts of Star Wars. And it's interesting hearing her perspective because she is a director that has been in the industry or tried to break into the film industry of Hollywood.
So now tell us about the actual convention.
Okay. So the convention itself, it was set up on 4 different levels of the convention center. And it was like just a part of the convention center. That was the 4 levels that we were on. And so you walk in on the second level, and on the first level was actually a gaming floor. So you could go and you could play tabletop games. And I think there was some plugged in games as well, Xbox and such as well. And it was really interesting. They had a DIY science zone, for kids. So it was very family friendly as well. So you could go drop your kids off at the DIY science zone and they could learn how to do different science things. And then there was also, I found this great, an introvert alley.
Introvert alley?
Yes.
At a convention?
At a convention. So they had set aside one room in the convention center to just be a quiet spot where you could go if you were getting too overwhelmed with all the people and all the cosplay and...
Well, that makes sense.
Right? I know, it was amazing. I was like, dude, every Comic-Con needs this, because we actually went in there to find a good spot to record, and it was so quiet that we're like, oh, we're gonna disturb people if we go
no,
in
that
here.
makes a lot of sense, because being at celebrations and Comic-Cons, people just overload.
You need a break.
And you do need that room. Just turn off all the lights.
Oh, yeah.
Sit on a beanbag chair and just be by yourself.
Exactly. Actually at celebration conventions, the press room ended up being that a little bit.
Right, but you had a lot of people talking in there, but I know you just need all sound to stop.
Yeah. So like any other convention, GeekGirlCon did have panels and it had an exhibitor floor, but the difference is that on the exhibitor floor, it had tons of female-run businesses, artists, writers, you name it. So everything was geared toward women. I could have bought so much stuff, Richard. So much stuff. But I didn't.
And what stopped you?
I bought cosmetics, and I bought this awesome Elhofer Snips drapey. I don't even know what to call it, because it's like a throw, but not, that you wear.
On one shoulder, you had a little Sith. On the other shoulder, you had a little Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jedis won.
Mostly.
As always, until you put that credit card away. Put it away.
But there was so much cool stuff. There was beautiful artwork. It was really neat. And they also had a cosplay contest, of course, and a fashion show. And the fashion show was pretty fun because they had 6 different exhibitors who did the fashion. So, and then they each got to come out, tell a little bit about themselves, and then show 3 looks that was modeled by 3 different women walking down the runway, and they were all ages. You had women 40 years apart in age and all different body shapes walking down the runway. So this mission, was inclusivity, and it totally was.
When Ashley Eckstein does her fashion show, they're all based on different themes of science fiction or fantasy.
So the fashion show was based on the various entrepreneurs there. So Elhofer Design, she showcased her 3 looks that came from Hamilton. So that was her focus. But then the next person who came out, Jordan Dene, has a bunch of t-shirts with hand-lettered writing that means something. So be a dragon is from Game of Thrones, or something like that. And
so sayings that
yes,
it's almost like a secret handshake.
Yes. And let I'm trying to think. Yeah, so there wasn't a main focus of the fashion show. It was just focusing on the actual fashion designers.
Okay.
That were there at
All
the
right.
expo.
All right, good deal.
Yeah.
Now, what about the other panels?
Okay, so what was interesting about the panels is beyond the panels, you had meetups that were in the panel schedule. So let's say you're a Star Wars fan. Well, you could go to the Star Wars meetup and be in a room with all the big Star Wars fans and just meet and greet with them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was nice. And they had a Wonder Woman meetup, and they had a Star Trek meetup. They had, and that was in the same room every time. There was a Disney meetup. There was a Marvel meetup.
That's a good idea for like celebrations.
It's a really good idea.
Because there were some people at a celebration I had met who they were alone
Yep.
and they were trying to find their fan factions.
Absolutely. Like there was a Hamilton meetup and sing along.
Wow.
I know, a Harry Potter meetup.
All right, you know what? Read Pop, you need to be looking at this over
Yeah.
here from GeekGirlCon because they get it going on.
It was really, really neat. So, like, I made it to the end of the Star Wars meetup because that was at the same time as the fashion show. So I definitely wanted to see the fashion show, but I was able to meet face-to-face Star Wars fans that I had seen all day, but you don't really necessarily have a conversation with them, and this was a way of like meeting people that have like minds.
Oh,
so like at the Star Wars convention, you could have a Clone Wars meetup, or a Star Wars Rebels meetup, or Clone Wars micro series meetup, or something like that.
Or Kenner
Or
action figures.
a Bookworms meetup. The book reading. I mean, I think at the Star Wars
Hoojib Hootenanny.
Yeah, I believe that at the Star Wars conventions, if you think about it, a lot of the meetups are podcast stage shows because you get the like-minded people there. Yeah, see, like Reynold just said, I found my people at your live podcast in Anaheim 2015. Exactly. So there is kind of that, but I think it was really cool that they had this meetup thing.
Okay, I'm going to say it once again. Read Pop, y'all need to be looking at this GeekGirlCon
meetup
schedule of events.
And an introvert alley.
Yeah, that's
very
awesome.
nice.
All right, let's now theme on this. What else did GeekGirlCon that other conventions could learn from?
Okay, well, that was like the main thing. And also this DIY Science Zone was really fun. It's kind of like the children's area at Star Wars where you could go, you could
origami.
do coloring, you could do an origami Tower of Sauron. I know you don't know what that means, but that's from Lord of the Rings. So you could do that. And then what you do is once you made that tower out of paper and this egg that was shaped like the Eye of Sauron, you put it on an earthquake tester thing and see if it passes the test, if it falls over or not. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Wow.
Yeah, and you got to learn how, what other things work? You got to learn how, I'm not thinking of the right science term yet, but when color leaches from one part to another, diffusion. You got to learn how diffusion worked by using M&Ms and water in a round jar.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Get to use M&Ms?
I have a picture
I'm there.
of it. Yes. Or
one of
Skittles.
my vices.
Or Skittles.
Skit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you know what? Tell us about Tricia's panels. What did she do?
Okay. So
Tricia Barr.
Well, what's interesting is in GeekGirlCon, the panels ranged from things like the science of Wonder Woman to getting girls into STEM. Also, I loved this panel name. Unfortunately, I couldn't go, but the Leslie Knope Guide to Geek Activism.
Are you kidding me?
There was a panel that was called that.
Leslie Knope, of course, from Parks and Recreation.
Right, and let me
played
read
by Amy
you-
Poehler.
I will read you the
Leslie Knope Guide to Geek Activism.
Yeah, you want to? I'll read the description.
Oh my goodness.
In the current political climate, recall Leslie Knope's words. This is an outrage. Who do I call? Parks and Recreation is a beloved comedy, but it's also a great model for political activism. Using our favorite characters, we'll examine actions you can take and highlight ways to balance friends, waffles, and work. Isn't that cute?
I saw your note there. I thought it was maybe a typo.
No, but isn't that fun?
That is awesome.
Yeah. So that was cool.
And these are all fan run, like Dragon Con.
Yes, all fan run. And there'll be panelists on there in any age range, and there's guys too. So like BJ Priester, who is Tricia's friend, they hosted a panel together. Well, he really moderated this panel. It was called Lassos, Lightsabers, and Stakes, Assessing the Heroine's Journey 20 Years After Buffy. So apparently they have been doing this panel for the last 5 years, and they talked about how when they first started this panel, there wasn't as much to talk about. And now here we're talking about Rey. We're talking about
Jin and Sabine.
Yeah, we're talking about Wonder Woman, and like all these steps that have been taken. So it was really a celebration, and then where to go from here.
All right, now, aside from Tricia's panel, what other panels did you attend that you really liked?
All right. Well, there was the Looking for Leia panel on Saturday, and this was exciting. This was the first time, I believe, that the documentary crew got to come up and really explain what their documentary was about and then show the 12-minute reel to the audience. And in this panel, there was people there who didn't really know what this was. They just saw Leia and came, the name Leia, and came. So once they saw the reel, there was like not a dry eye in the room. Everyone was just kind of tearing up, like, oh, this is what it's about.
All right, let's take a couple of seconds now and hear a little from this tear-jerking sizzle reel.
I put that record on, and if you can imagine this, like, tiny little black girl with some pigtails marching around her room to the Imperial March.
I came to America at the age of 9. It was a struggle for me, learning a new language, new people, different kids, and the kids were a little bit brutal back then. When I first started watching Star Wars, that was that place that I could go to. You could look different, you could be different, you can sound different. That started my passion for Star Wars, just being able to be different, and it's okay.
A lot of strong female characters exist, and a lot of beautiful princess characters exist. And Leia is that intersection. Leia is the and character. Especially growing up in the 80s and early 90s, you got one or the other. You got Ripley or you got Ariel. Like, you didn't get both.
Sometimes we have to remind people that we have to demand respect. It's great and glorious to be able to watch it develop. Women's podcasts, women as judges in costuming competitions, women's businesses, whatever they're bringing to fandom. As we are going forward, the fans are now taking place in the industry.
I had been at Playfair in New York. I had an Asian mother come up to me with her young daughter, and she stopped me and she thanked me for being a Jedi and for being Asian. She, growing up, had loved the Star Wars movies, and she had never seen an Asian Jedi. And the fact that we had been performing with Saber Guild and I had actually led one of the Padawan Training Institute sessions, her daughter got to watch an Asian female Jedi lead a class. And she was like, that was so influential to me and my daughter. So she just thanked me, and it meant a lot.
Well, I can see why there was not a dry eye in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness gracious. And so there's no release date yet?
No, not as of yet. In fact, she will be shooting with liningup.net.
Oh.
In December.
All right.
Yeah.
As we're in line for The Last Jedi.
Exactly. So, you know what? You might see Richard in this as well.
Good deal. All right. Now, let me ask you, what was your favorite moment of the whole convention?
Well, I really liked meeting or seeing some of the cosplay mashups in particular. So we had My Little Pony Jedi, which were there, and Teresa went ape because she loves My Little Pony. And she loves Star Wars, and so I think she's going to be a part of the herd.
Is that what their fan base is called?
Which?
My Little Pony?
What do you mean?
The herd?
Yeah, well, if you're part of the Jedi, the My Little Pony Jedi, the MLP Jedi, yeah, you're part of the herd.
Nice.
Isn't that cute?
Uh-huh.
I loved it. And I saw a Rey Punzel, along with a Leia in Wonderland, so it was like Alice and Leia mashup. And I happened to be walking to the escalator when at the side I saw not Rapunzel, but Rapunzel's mom and dad with a lantern. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I had to get a picture of them. They were amazing.
What a great concept.
Right?
That I have never seen that.
Me either. That's why I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
And they actually spoke.
Any other cosplayers that you've never seen? Sounds like this convention has a lot of stuff we've never seen before. What else have we never seen before? Or should I ask you, do we see peace and justice at this convention like we don't see at any other convention nowadays?
What do you mean by that?
By people waiting in line like civilians, like people, and not
Actually,
like cave people?
What's funny about that is, yes, it's a smaller convention, so you can pretty much get into any panel you want, which is great. You don't have to wait hours. And the only thing I found kind of annoying was Teresa and I went to the Disney bounding panel, like how to Disney bound 101, which we didn't really need to go, but we thought it'd be interesting. We might find people that were like-minded. And right in the front row next to us was a family with little baby who, the minute the panel started, and it's like, dude, just take the baby out. Like, if I was a panelist, I would have been kind of upset because you prepare.
Oh, don't.
Yeah.
My blood is starting to boil.
I know. And at the end.
And these are small rooms too,
these
right?
These are small rooms, and they were right up front.
Oh.
And she was trying to feed them at the same time, and it's like,
I believe that happened at our podcast stage show in Orlando.
Yeah.
And a couple of dirty looks fixed that. Took the kid right out. Do you recall this?
I remember that being an issue, and at one of Tricia's panels too, towards the end. I don't know if it was the same baby, but
all right, now we need to. That's a good point, and
Okay.
make a note of this somewhere.
maybe we need an introvert alley and a baby room.
But at LosCon, we've
Yes.
got to have signs.
Okay.
We've got to have signs that if your kid starts to cry, you're going to take that child out immediately, or we will make a scene.
Well, because people are recording. You want a clean audio recording.
How many times have we recorded that celebration? It's like, oh, this is perfect. George Lucas is about to announce his next big project, and the kid next to you starts talking or wailing or getting on his iPhone and doing something.
And we love you parents with kids, and most of you understand that sometimes they're loud, and sometimes you may need to miss something you wanted to see because the kid is being loud.
Right. But they've got to understand that it's your responsibility to take that kid out so you don't ruin it for everybody else.
Right.
Okay, it's like
It's a hard
texting at the
thing to
movie
say,
theater.
But yeah, it totally
come
ruined
on.
the gospel, the mashup, whatever we were
But
in.
it needs to be said.
Yeah.
Because apparently a lot of people aren't obeying that rule of common courtesy to your fellow con-goers.
So that was the only common courtesy issue that I saw.
Okay. I'll make a note to put up a sign at LosCon. If your kid starts to cry, we will stop the show and point out why we have to stop the show.
All right.
All right. With that, anything else you want to add about GeekGirlCon?
I really want to go back, and I want to bring you. So you can go to these Leslie Knope panels.
Oh, I know.
And then we can go around Seattle, because Seattle is amazing.
You were posting pictures all day on Sunday.
I love it.
I myself was deeply jealous.
Yes. So I want to show you. It was a great city, and anyone who's in the Pacific Northwest, I can see why you love it. Beautiful.
And it's cold.
It was like 50 degrees on Monday morning. I was like all snuggled up, and my ears were kind of cold. I'm like, why didn't I think of a hat or scarves? I can never bring out my hat and scarves in LA, and I didn't think to bring them with me.
It was very hard to enjoy not Spooky Farm because it was 88 degrees. Not really Halloween weather. So once again, I was deeply, deeply jealous. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Give us your parting thoughts.
Well, I think this is a very well thought out convention. Just very inclusive is like the word of the day, I suppose. And I'll be back.
As a Terminator. And Reed Pop, we're going to send you this Geek Girl guide right here. Learn something.
Shout-outs, Skywalker shout-outs. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout out. Who was photobombed? Shout out. Who was shared a post? Shout out.
Well, we got to thank everyone who sent us in anniversary messages, either voice messages or tweeting messages and Facebook messages. So many people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our 4th year anniversary, which means we're now moving in to our 5th year, a half a decade of Skywalking Through Neverland.
That sounds awesome.
Yes, it does.
We're moving into a half a decade podcast.
Goodness gracious. And a lot of people were telling us how they first heard of us or saw us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 90% of them all went to the podcast stage show at Celebration Anaheim.
Either that or they've seen us at meetups as well. So like at Walt Disney World or something. So it's when we get out there and meet people that I think we make the lasting impression that people will listen. So that's a good lesson for podcasters.
Mm-hmm,
Get yourself out there, get to conventions and meet up with people.
So thank you everyone for wishing us a happy 4th anniversary.
Yeah.
All right, now to celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have a couple of great iTunes reviews.
Oh, new iTunes reviews. Whoa.
Yeah, do you want to read the first one?
Okay. So this one is entitled Love Skywalking Through Neverland by Miami 2011. All right. That's a fun name. As a Disney Star Wars geek, I love Richard and Sarah's podcast. They cover it all. Their bubbly personalities keep me coming back. I have a few different podcasts I listen to, and for me, the hosts are very important. They have to keep your attention while giving you all the latest news in the fandom, or you zone out. They even keep my attention during an episode about the movie Pete's Dragon. I've never seen the classic or the remake, but I really enjoyed the conversation with their guest. Not all podcasts are created equal, and it's a matter of taste, but give them a listen.
That's one of my personal goals is if we're talking about something, a subject that someone is not particularly interested in, but if we can keep it fresh and exciting and entertaining,
right,
and yet they still listen, that's like the highest compliment we can get. I love that. So thank you very much. A check on my things to do today. Feel good about the podcast.
Aw, thank you, Miami.
Now this one comes from AwesomeAlto14, and it's titled, I love this podcast.
So this is a singer, I believe, alto.
Who?
Awesome Alto. So alto is a singing range. So soprano, alto, tenor, and bass.
See, there you go.
Yes.
I just learned something else. Now, Awesome Alto 14 writes, are you looking for an enjoyable, well-made, delightful Star Wars Disney podcast? Look no further than Skywalking Through Neverland. Richard and Sarah are an adorable couple who invite you to nerd out weekly about the latest Star Wars and Disney news, interviews with your favorite people who help bring your fandoms to life, and so much more. This is the podcast you're looking for.
Aw.
Oh.
Thank you, Awesome Alto.
Yeah, and both of these are 5-star rated.
Now,
we don't ask people to give us 5 stars.
That's
We
true.
tell them to be honest.
Yeah. Now, Reynold says we should check out iTunes in other countries, like Canada.
You can do that?
I think you can, and I think Lipson described how to do that once. And you have to, there's a button on the main store page you have to, check. So I'll check that out. But yeah, somewhere in the something. If anybody knows how to do that.
Reynold, are you leading us somewhere? Do you know something that we don't? What kind of reviews are we getting in Canada?
Oh, it's probably change country. Look at that.
All right, hold on. This just in.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to Canada.
Going to Canada.
Via iTunes.
All right, let's check
look
out
at all these Canadian
Canada
podcasts.
Well, he said he left a 5-star.
Well, thank you. Reynold, did we just read one of yours?
He said this is in Canada. So there are 8. Yeah, so there's less. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Oh, Din.
Oh.
Oh. Okay.
All right. So
Wait,
clear your afternoon. We got some more reviews to
he's
read.
46 and 2. Okay, so he is. Well, no, we'll read this one and then we'll save the rest for later.
Oh, okay.
All right. So here we go. So Reynold writes, a landscape of nerd love. Thank you, Reynold. That's funny. And he says, Richard and Sarah give a refreshing and exciting voice to anything Star Wars, Disney, and Marvel. I've been listening since Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2015, and I haven't stopped since. Aww.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Reynold.
Whoa.
That's so cool.
Look at all these.
Yeah, Benjamin
reviews.
Spears. And
all right, we'll save these for next. I didn't know you could do this.
All the way back to May 2014, we got some reviews in here.
Boy, what a good day this is.
Exciting.
What a good day.
Okay. Well, now I'm like interested in all these other countries. Okay.
Guess we have our afternoon set too.
Yeah. Well, before we do that, I think we should let everyone know who is the Skywalker of the week.
In arts and culture, in arts and culture, in arts and culture, in arts and culture, in arts and culture.
Well, congratulations to Din Arts and Culture. His name's been popping up a lot, and he's going to be joining us on our Force Fun Challenge show at LosCon next month. And he's been writing us some great reviews. In fact, his birthday was just yesterday on October the 1st.
How exciting!
Happy birthday, Din.
Absolutely.
Hold on, we've got to find the perfect happy birthday song. Oh, here it is.
Let me deliver you this specialized message. Compliments of the Galactic Empire. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday from the dark side. Happy birthday to you. Remember, with control of your fear and anger, the dark side will be a powerful ally. Join me as we conquer the galaxy and buy vast amounts of lottery tickets. If you're not of legal age, then we shall use the Force to have others buy them for us. Consider it. Until then, have a happy birthday.
Now, if you want to have your very own jingle composed by Rob Dellinger, then all you need to do is write an iTunes review, maybe in another country, and then let us know what country that is so we can go look it up. Or you can share on social media how fun it is to listen to Skywalking Through Neverland. And also, we haven't told this in the past couple weeks, but do a hashtag Skywalker selfie. Those are also up for grabs for a Skywalker of the Week. So what we want you to do is stop what you're doing. You're going to take a selfie of yourself, obviously, because that's what a selfie is. And then you're going to post on social media and tag us at Skywalking Pod and say that you're listening and say that you like listening, hopefully.
Just that easy.
Yeah. And then you will be up to be the Skywalker of the Week.
As composed every week by the one and the only Rob Dellinger, who is
the John Williams of podcasting.
On episode 169 and 174, we reviewed Season 1 and 2 of the Clone Wars micro-series that ran from 2003 through 2004, which comprised Volume 1 on the DVD. Now we wrap up our look back at the Clone Wars as we discuss Season 3, which is considered Volume 2 on the DVD.
Once again, to avoid any confusion, this is not the Dave Filoni series, Star Wars The Clone Wars, but just simply Clone Wars by Genndy Tartakovsky. So here with us once again is our Skywalking Through Neverland book reviewer, Jocasta Drew Kaplan. Hello, Jocasta Drew.
Hello, Richard and Sarah.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
And also with us is Skywalker Nitzan Harel.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Skywalkers out there.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're going to wrap up the Clone Wars. I'm sorry.
No.
Clone Wars.
Yes.
No Star Wars, but Clone Wars. So now, when we last left off, we got our first glimpse of the new villain from Revenge of the Sith, General Grievous, as he was wiping out Jedi left and right on Hypori. And Yoda fears the worst.
Darker, the coming storm grows. I fear the dark cloud of the Sith shrouds us all.
All right, so Drew, give us a synopsis of Season 3 of Clone Wars.
Absolutely. So we pick off right on Hypori where Season 2 left off, with the Jedi being in peril from Grievous. And then we have the ARC Troopers coming in to swoop in and save them, which is awesome. I love them on Munilis in Season 1. Then we see the Jedi Council discussing this new threat of General Grievous and the consideration of making Anakin Skywalker a Jedi Knight. We also see Anakin, Padme, and C-3PO's new fancy armor. Mm-hmm. We see Anakin proving himself as a great warrior and pilot as a Jedi Knight. And we see, however, this is all really good stuff, but we do also see the Separatists embarking on a successful strategy. They're winning battles left and right. We see Obi-Wan and Anakin get get sidelined. We really see this fascinating siege that's supposed to take 4 months, and they're a quarter of the way into it, but yet Anakin's able to find a quick way out, which is brilliant and hilarious.
That's Anakin.
That is. We also
And he found lunch.
Yes, we see. We see the Separatist surprise invasion of Coruscant, and then, of course, leading into Episode 3, we get the abduction of Chancellor Palpatine by General Grievous.
So this is like Rogue One, where it leads right into Star Wars. This last episode, this last chapter, leads right into Revenge of the Sith. I mean, seconds before Revenge of the Sith.
Right. So you get the opening crawl, but the very massive difference between Rogue One and this is that this came out weeks, just less than 2 months prior to the release of Revenge of the Sith. Ooh. So having watched this in March 2005, it was amazing to already have seen that abduction and understand what was going on in the opening crawl. Whereas with A New Hope, you had to wait almost 4 decades. It's a very different time span.
Well, you get to what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, no, it's incredible to see that. And for those of us who saw it back when, it was amazing to see that, you have a good sense of who General Grievous is, and also you understand the circumstances surrounding the Chancellor's abduction.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now that we've seen all 3 seasons, what are your impressions overall, the whole entire series? Nitzan?
Well, I think overall I'm so flabbergasted that I haven't seen this before. Like, what was wrong with me? It's brilliant. It's fantastic. Even though this last part of the season, this 3rd segment, was really long, I was really into it the entire time. I was like, how have I missed this storyline? And also there's a lot of questions asked that we were talking about while we were watching it that aren't explained, and I want answers to. So
yeah, this season is only 5 episodes, but it's an hour long.
Yeah.
Whereas the first 2 seasons are 10 episodes and a half an hour long each.
Mm-hmm.
During the end of it, we were thinking, did we go into another season here? We didn't know about it?
Yeah. Also, I noticed that it was a lot harder to tell where episodes started and stopped. I was like, wait, wait, what? The story kind of keeps going. Mm-hmm. And unless you really think about, they're now in space, whereas before they were on a planet, and maybe that's where an episode had ended, and they were so long that you didn't really notice it. It kind of was really a flow of a story that worked really well.
All right. So, Sarah, how about you? What was your overall impression of the whole series?
I found it interesting that there were little nuggets of ideas that were further explored in the Clone Wars. So, like, when Anakin goes into the cave and has this vision, that's kind of like the whole Mortis arc, where it just kind of explores the Force a little bit. And so, because it's the micro series, it's like you get a microcosm of that, you know? Or you have just the clone episodes in this micro series where it's just the clones talking to each other, where you have the whole Lost Missions where you get the whole 5s and all the clones, like that whole, 4 arc episode or 5, about the poor clones. And, so I find it so interesting that there's all these different parallels that were just explored and then further expanded on because they could.
So, Drew, having studied the Clone Wars, how many parallels do you see between this micro series and the Dave Filoni series?
So, there are some for me, I like picking out the major differences, if I may share.
Sure.
So one major difference is that we get to see at the very tail end Mace Windu crushing by force the innards of General Grievous, which makes General Grievous throughout this entire series being very formidable. No Jedi can defeat him. But once this crushing of his innards happens, then it sets us up for Revenge of the Sith, where he is able to be defeated. Whereas in the Clone Wars, he doesn't have that strength, and then one instant of weakness, setting him up for weakness in Revenge of the Sith. So I think that's significant. We also see what led up to Anakin becoming a Jedi Knight. Here, it's as a matter of exigency, and of course, there's Opera Insistis is against it, and we have these voices of dissent on the council. But yet Yoda is able to push Anakin's knighthood through, ultimately resulting in that. So I think those are some key differences that we have from this series. Of course, there's leading into Revenge of the Sith with the abduction. So I think that's a great backstory. So I think those are 3 key differences that these really add that we don't have, at least now, from Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm. Can I just dive in here when you mentioned the whole knighting of Anakin. I thought that was really interesting, and we didn't get anything like that in the Clone Wars, right?
No.
Right. Star Wars Clone Wars, the movie, picks up, he's already a knight and getting a Padawan.
Okay.
And so they just skip ahead a number of months in the Clone Wars.
Gotcha.
And it's been taking place. I mean, the movie itself was in the midst of battle. And of course, it took them a next couple of seasons to start providing episodes that precede that Battle of Christophsis from the movie. But we don't know what happens in the earlier months of the war, let alone how he became a knight.
Okay.
So that story has yet been untold.
There's also an interesting kind of right before he gets knighted, there's this conversation with Padme with this very like sneaky thing where they meet in an alley and they're all like lovey-dovey, but where he kind of mentions that he's not ready to be a Jedi.
Our love should not be hidden like it's some kind of immoral thing.
Annie, you're almost a Jedi Knight, and then...
And then what? Jedis aren't supposed to be married. It doesn't matter.
It does matter. We knew it would be like this. Perhaps things can change after the war, but for now, the Republic needs you.
Then he gets to the point where he's being knighted. He's like, this is awesome. Like, this is fantastic. Who cares? Like, this is great. And he's really excited. You can see the smile on his face when he realizes what's going on. Like, it's really amazing to see his transition, but also it's really kind of that moment where Yoda really knights him. And it gives me a lot of pause back to, like, British knighthood.
Oh, yeah.
Like, with the lightsaber
right.
and, like, he kneels.
Anakin Skywalker, by the right of the Council, by the will of the Force, dub thee I do, Jedi, Knight of the Republic.
Except the taking off of the braid, which was a very emotional part. I thought that was very historic. Like, it's got a historic reference to it, and it gives it a lot of clout for that moment of the knighthood. It was beautifully done.
Yeah. Right. Suddenly the lightsabers are ignited, and they're all in a big circle around him. Then he is knighted, and his braid is cut off, and he gives it to Padme, and she puts it in her little treasure chest.
So, what do you feel about this microseries, Richard? Because you never...
I love this season because it really takes what they've learned from the first two seasons and went above and beyond with the production value. Because there was a whole lot more movement with the camera, whereas the first two was just very static. We have the camera moving all over the place, and it almost seems like Genndy Tartakovsky had watched a little bit of Revenge of the Sith to get some of the movements they got from that first battle over Coruscant, because I saw a lot of those same kind of movements where the camera moves around the cockpit of the Jedi Starfighter.
Huh.
Each cut can be up to like 20 seconds long, which is, in the first couple of seasons of the Clone Wars, they were like 5 or 6 seconds because they had to really speed it up. But now they know they're getting 12-minute episodes. They can take their time a little bit more and show you more and get more of a feeling from the camera work. And I thought we had brighter colors, whereas the first two seasons we got a lot of muted colors. But now I felt like we got a lot of bright colors.
I agree. It felt more finished.
Yeah, very much so. Very, very much so.
Yeah.
And I love the stories. I love the fact that we lead into Revenge of the Sith. I think maybe George had a hand in this, saying, okay, now we want... Sith will be coming out in a couple of weeks, so we want to really foreshadow this, and this. Like the Mace Windu squeezing General Grievous's innards. So before he takes off in his ship, you hear him cough. Now, was there any standout moments in this season?
Just like the moment the scene opens up, there's this like lock and load. See, did you notice that? Like there's like these shots of like the weapons and they're just starting off, and it's very militaristic, like very like action movie kind of scene. And I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. This is like setting me up for like a lot of battle, and there was a lot of battle.
Yeah, you see that kind of thing in like Saving Private Ryan or Batman, where there's a lot of insert shots of guns being cocked, boots being pulled on, capes being hung, and then off into the battle. the first shot was one of the clones putting his helmet on.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
Just 'cause you see it from the back, so you're seeing everything from his point of view.
Oh, yes.
And so that sets up the whole series.
Yeah, that's right. It started with the shot of the clone helmet with a reflection in it.
Right.
Which is very like those paintings you see.
Right.
With the reflections in the cool
Yeah, like
helmets.
we're going to see everything from the clone's point of view.
I don't know if this was like my most memorable, but it really stuck out to me as like different from the entire season we just watched. And that was like young Annie with Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
And it was almost disconnected. It was there for a second, and I was like, is this a flashback? Is this like what am I watching? It was beautifully done. It looked really visually intense. Also it had that like visual that takes you back or in the future to like Luke and Yoda kind of training when they're doing their stint on Dagobah. It was very similar to that, but it was a moment where it was disconnected from everything else we've seen, and it's young Annie, and it was, I don't know, something about the moment really touched me.
Did you hear that, Master Qui-Gon?
Yes, Anakin. It calls to you.
The tree?
Yes. You must enter it. Alone.
I'm afraid, Master.
Control your fear. You are the chosen one. And you must be tested.
What's in there?
Only what you take with you. Your final test is at hand. Trust in the Force.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, the fact that Anakin walks into the tree, then we cut back to Yoda, and he's wary of a presence in the Force. He knows something bad is going down. He knows that, this is the first step into a darker world.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then they just cut it there. Never refer back to it. That's it. That's all we get of Anakin going into the tree, where I would have liked having seen Anakin go in the tree and what he faced, maybe something very similar to Luke. Maybe he's fighting a ghost of Darth Maul or some kind of a evil presence ghost.
I do feel though that in the next few moments in the movie, like in the season, we actually see that he didn't go through all the tests and that he's kind of jumped spots to get to where he is to become a Jedi Knight, and that the last segment when he's on the planet
Nelvon,
that one, that is like the continuation of that. Like that's how I see it. Like he went into the tree, we didn't see that test, but this is the next segment of a test. It starts off with a test and it finishes with a test. And it's sort of an arc that's like scattered around. They mention the tests a lot, like the mirror test and all these things, and I think that is where that test finishes.
Yeah, I mean, it was said that the Jedi are just spread so thin throughout the galaxy. Just whoever's close enough, just grandfather them in, get them in any way we can, because we need the knights out there fighting.
Yeah. Okay.
How about you, Drew? Any standout moments from this season?
Yes. So I love that ARC Trooper stuff at the very beginning, just like I loved in this first season with Munilis when they're attacking. And maybe it's just the little boy in me that really likes just the fighting, and they're just really awesome, and they swoop in and they save the Jedi. It's an incredible moment. I do have to point out my least favorite moment, which is the Nelvon sequence, which was just, and I get from an abstract sense how you want the tenseness and the fighting and everything that's going on in Coruscant and the calmness.
Yeah.
Nothing really else going on in Nelvon. Just, trying to figure out what's going on, like a little detective story. It just, I get that they have much longer storytelling time involved, but they really, you never have found this in the first couple of seasons, obviously, with the time constraints. But here, I felt like they had so much time. They said, let's develop this. Yeah. Let's put in more time. And I get that they have that cave painting piece, which is an interesting foreshadowing for what Anakin's journey will be.
Yeah.
But it really distracted from the flow of everything, how everything was fast paced, and here it was just serene and calm.
Yeah. All right, so before we get into your favorite moments, Sarah, fill everyone in about these Nelvon scenes.
So the Nelvon scenes, we come across initially it's this frozen ice planet that a whole detachment of troopers accompany both Obi-Wan and Anakin.
And we don't get Snow Bunny Padme.
Right, there's no snow bunnies. And they come across this massive animal who thumps the entire squad of troopers until Anakin kills it. Eventually, they find out that this whole tribe of Novanian women and their children are there, but no men, no men of fighting age. And it's discovered that they've been taken away by the Separatists, by the Techno Union to basically make them super soldiers with like implanted blasters. And so eventually Anakin makes his trek, he makes his way, and he saves them. But there's this whole trope throughout about having a missing hand or a missing forearm. And both Anakin shares that with these Nelvanian warriors, and he becomes a hero to them. But in so doing, there's this foreshadowing, this cave sequence where he sees... It could be both talking about these Nelvanian warriors as well as Anakin himself being having part of your hand or your arm removed and then becoming a weapon for evil.
And for those of us who have seen Avatar, these Nelvanians look like Avatarians.
Yeah, just not as tall.
Yeah, they look just like them. And
a little less blue, a little bit more gray.
Right. So I think James Cameron owes someone an apology out there, taking all the credit for those Avatarians. All right, so Sarah, what was your favorite moment?
All right, I have like 4, but they're
well,
different
pick one,
ways.
because I know if you pick all 4, you're going to pick
I
mine.
will. Okay, so I'm gonna actually mention the one that touched. Like, there's moments of graphic beauty, there's moments of musical beauty, there's moments of relationship, but then there's also this one that really touched me emotionally, and funnily enough, it comes from an Elvan scene. And that would be where, at the very end of the story arc, so spoilers coming, when Anakin finally frees the Nelvanian warriors, he finds the guys in charge who are changing them into bad guys. So he finds the bad guys, and he goes...
Anakin.
He goes all Anakin on them. And he doesn't have a hand, but he's still using that arm to whip him around. And finally the last guy at the end, his throat is like really long and it's got this thing around it, but then all of a sudden it like implodes and he has choked him through the throat. And that was like, whoa, like I like jumped in my seat kind of. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and Anakin had lost his mechanical hand.
Yes.
He got in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
So he got a new one put on right before Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
That was a whole new one there.
Yeah. So yeah, just that moment alone was like, oh, okay, Anakin's going Anakin. Going Sith. So that was my
Wouldn't
moment.
expect anything less.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, I love the part where 3PO is showing off his new plating.
Yeah, okay, that was mine. Oh my god.
The music.
The inappropriate music.
Yeah.
Very.
So hold on, you're getting ahead here. So here's Anakin and Padme. They're kissing in the alleys, and who's going to interrupt them but C-3PO? And 3PO's all excited to see Anakin, and Anakin notices his new plating, and he says, "Let me see it." And 3PO is very shy.
Well, 3PO is not 3PO. He's got a cloak on.
He's got
And
a Jedi robe on.
And he says, "I bet you didn't recognize me in my disguise." And we're like,
yeah,
with
we're all
your
like,
red arm.
And for some reason, 3PO is very shy
Yes.
about showing his plating.
Yes.
Doesn't mind about being naked in Phantom Menace.
Nope.
But here he slips down his robe and...
Well, let's see it.
Yeah, now, in this neighborhood... Very well, if you wish.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Yes, I'd rather fancy it myself.
So, and I love the part where Anakin just did a foreshadowing of a Darth Vader line.
Impressive.
Most impressive.
Oh.
Impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Most impressive.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And there were a lot of foreshadowing to future lines coming
Yeah.
up in the Star Wars films. Like when they're walking through the sewer. What does Obi-Wan say?
What an incredible smell you've discovered.
What an incredible smell you've discovered.
Okay, so now, what are some of your other favorite moments?
Okay. Well, I'll go. So I just thought there was a beautiful shot when Anakin and Obi-Wan finally infiltrate the city that was going to take 4 months to take over, but instead they go in the sewers and they come out and there's this just great shot of them walking away from the city and all the clones going in to take the city and just the bombs or the detonators going off behind them. It's just a really cool shot. So
Yeah,
I like that.
The clone troopers are the closers.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Mace Windu. Like, his fighting ability is like so highlighted in this series. He's amazing. His hands are weapons. Like, there are these moments where he's doing these really quick, fast punches, and it's like destroying a droid. And when he takes one of the droid fighters and like manipulates it and drives around on it and cuts all these droids off, and it's fantastic. It's just, I mean, I love Mace Windu anyway, but like, this was him in action. It was great. And I will say that it also was really awesome to see Shakti at the end. Even though she lost her lightsaber in the battle, she grabbed one of the other weapons from the droids, the double-sided light blades.
Light sticks or
the vibro blade.
One of those. And she doesn't even need her lightsaber. She just kicks with everything she has with this weapon, and it's not even like a lightsaber. And she does even better with that one than she does with a lightsaber.
Do you have one, Drew?
The stuff at the end is really incredible, especially with the Ithorian blasting, which is an incredible moment. Something we've never seen before.
Yeah.
So that was really neat.
Yeah, he's got 4 throats.
Yeah.
So he does that battle cry. Instead of a force push, he just yells out of all 4 throats.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I love me some Ithorians. And his name was Roran Karab, which was a play on Ron Cobb. Who designed a lot of the Cantina creatures, including Hammerhead or Mama Nadon.
Nice.
Yeah, in fact, they made a lot of merchandising out of that character. He was a gentle giant maquette. He was an action figure.
One thing I had pointed out on a previous episode with Volvith Mon,
right?
I had mentioned. So he was the winner of a contest.
Hasbro.
He was the winner of a Cartoon Network contest to name someone from the Cantina scene and bring them into Clone Wars. And so both Roran Karab, right, and Fal Mudama, that's the
Tells.
Yeah, the Talls. Right. So both of them were the losers in that. However,
so funny.
They nevertheless get brought in this season,
and
they actually have more of an impact in the story.
And they have action figures as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right, now, did we learn anything from this season, this series, let's say, the series, that helps us continue on with watching the films? Like, you can watch Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and go, oh, now I know about this, and now this fills in about that.
So,
what did this help us fill in?
Yeah, I mean, the whole knighting ceremony. I've never seen that in any other Star Wars thing, so I think that was totally new.
So I mentioned earlier on 3 major significant differences, and I think they all add. One is the abduction of Chancellor Palpatine, which gives us a sense leading into Revenge of the Sith what's going on, as well as the invasion of Coruscant, how that was able to take place. It was through the stretching apart of the Republic and as well as Jedi forces. And then, of course, the knighting sequence, which was really neat. I think the first 2 seasons were nice. We got to meet totally new foes. We got to meet Dirge in the first season. We got to meet Asajj Ventress in the second, but neither of them have any effect on Revenge of the Sith. And we can see a lot of battles which are really cool, really fun. This season really ties it together. It really says, look, we've got a movie coming out in less than 2 months. Here's some stuff bringing us close to the movie and getting us really excited to go see it as well. And so I think that's what's fantastic about this particular season amongst the 3.
For me, I mean, I have a lot more questions. I mean, Annie's scar was revealed, but without any conversation around it. Like, we didn't see it happen. It just was there, and then it wasn't there, and then it was there.
Yeah, we had to keep going back. Yeah. Like, okay, wait a minute. When did he get his scar? Because when he lands in his Jedi Starfighter and Padme comes over and puts her hand on the scar.
It's like, was there a missing
when
scene
did that
here?
happen?
Yeah.
It just kind of showed up.
For something like that, they should have shown, I think, just because that was a heavily debated thing with Revenge of the Sith. That, hey, Anakin's got a scar? Where did he get that? And it was a hot topic, and this should have answered that, but never did. I think it was one of those last-minute additions where they were done, and George said, Oh, yeah, by the way, Anakin's got a scar. Oh, you're kidding me! Oh, no! So we'll add in drop in a 5-second shot, and then just go back to the last half and just draw in that Harry Potter scar over his eye.
But they also kind of highlight it at the end when he's doing the like hero warrior ceremony. There's like with the weird lychee things,
yeah.
And they actually highlight his scar even more. So it's like, if you missed it, there's a scar. Like, here you go.
Yeah, that was also an insert shot, so they could have just inserted that shot as well.
Right. And the other thing that really was, I mean, we've discussed this before in the last couple of seasons, is Palpatine's, like, overlooking... deviously planning, because really the only reason they went to that planet was because Palpatine said that there was intelligence, his reliable intelligence, that said that obviously Grievous would be there, which he wasn't. So it was really weird, but it was very well orchestrated by him to say that Anakin wouldn't be on Coruscant when it was attacked.
Right.
Because he wouldn't be able to see what was going on or be involved or like prevent his kidnapping, because Annie would. So it was very well orchestrated, but also in that scene where we are in Coruscant and it is being attacked and Palpatine's just sitting there just like I did this, like watching the whole thing unfold and like not being at all fazed by it. In fact, probably enjoying every minute of it. So it was definitely, I mean, we know this is who he is and it's not surprising, but it's just a little bit more of that flavor of Palpatine, just to add to your lexicon of Palpatine moments.
For me, we learned more about Anakin's rage. We knew it was always there because that's the whole basis of the prequels. But now, what really got him from Attack of the Clones to Revenge of the Sith, and you always knew that the source of his rage was Obi-Wan and the Jedi Council. But now you've seen what he's gone through with Asajj Ventress, all the battles, being on Nelvin, having to go through those trials, not really being able to share Padme and his association with Padme, but it's just everything he's gone through in that last battle. You could tell he was really on the brink of becoming Darth Vader. He was throwing things around. He was squeezing throats. He was trying to reach into that plasma ball with the Kyber crystal, it looked like, and nothing was going right for him. And it just really compounded his anger with everything he had to go through in that battle. Wow. So for me, it really filled in a lot of the rage. Because you can always say, well, it's Anakin. He's got the dark side in him. He's got a lot of rage. But now this really showed. It really mapped out, just like in the Clone Wars, how he was always suppressed by Obi-Wan, and because of that, he was never able to really demonstrate his full power and help. All he wants to do is help. Even as Darth Vader, he just wants to secure peace in the galaxy, quote unquote, whatever that means in his world. But he just wants to help, and he can't use his power because he always has Obi-Wan and the Council saying, no, sit down, go to your corner, bring it down. And because of that, what's one of the collateral damages? He loses his mom. So by the end of this series, I really had a full understanding of why this kid is just so messed up.
Yeah, you get to see a little bit more of it here in Star Wars Clone Wars than necessarily Star Wars The Clone Wars. Of course, you have that Rush Clovis incident in Season 6 of Star Wars The Clone Wars where he's ready to pound him into the ground.
Well, come on, he's moving in on his girl.
Yeah, so he's furious, but we don't see many of those, as you like to say, Anakin moments in Star Wars The Clone Wars, whereas here we get to see that here and also with Asajj Ventress in Season 2. Yeah. So it's... it's fascinating that we almost get more proportionally out of this than in The Clone Wars.
I love Annie in The Clone Wars. And, he's one of my favorite characters. And even though, with everything else going on, I love him. And then I think it's because of Ahsoka. And because we don't have Ahsoka here, I'm missing that, almost softness of him. He doesn't have another side. He's very, that dimension of, the warrior, the Jedi. He doesn't have that mentor-y kind of caring side that we see in The Clone Wars. And I really miss that. And I think even though this is brilliantly done, I need to see more of him, more of Annie that I know and love, and not just Annie the warrior.
Now, was there any ground that wasn't covered that we would like to have seen? I know we kind of touched on it, but was there something they didn't cover that you wish they had?
That is a good question.
Maybe some more moments between Anakin and Obi-Wan where Obi-Wan is telling him, slow down, you got to do this, you got to give him more rules, more boundaries, and Anakin, you can just see that mental anguish of him not wanting to do that. He just, hey, there's trouble over there, why am I over here? So maybe a few of those character relationship moments.
I think it would have been interesting if we saw maybe Anakin and Padme like in a meeting or in a tryst and almost get caught by Obi-Wan. Kind of foreshadowing in Revenge of the Sith where Obi-Wan is like, Anakin's the father, isn't he? Just kind of foreshadowing that moment.
Maybe leading up to that moment.
Yeah, exactly. Leading up to that.
Nitzan?
I don't know. I got a lot out of this that I didn't expect. So I'm very satisfied with what I saw because I obviously hadn't seen it before and it was just a good surprise for me. So I'm kind of still in that space. I haven't gotten to the, what am I missing space yet.
Now from here we go into Revenge of the Sith and we see Grievous as a whole different character. He's a totally different character than in this. And now did anyone, Drew, you had watched this when it was on Cartoon Network and then saw the movie. Was it off-putting to you that
So this
Grievous?
makes sense. That once Mace Windu did the Force crush on Coruscant, it made him a distinctly weaker and wheezier character throughout. And that's why he's hunched over and coughing on his ship, and why Obi-Wan is ultimately able to defeat him on Utapau. That's why he's able to ultimately defeat him. Which is funny because what they do in Star Wars: The Clone Wars is they don't have such a weakening event that he is just sort of consistent throughout, sort of. Of course, when we first see him in the beginning part of the first season of the Clone Wars, he's someone who just scuttles off and scurries off if he's about to lose a battle and he just leaves. But ultimately he becomes stronger, but he beats Obi-Wan Kenobi in a couple of battles. But here, in Revenge of the Sith, ultimately he's able to overcome Grievous.
Right, but in this micro series, he's just a bulldozer.
Yeah.
He will not stop. Whereas in the film, if he sees any sign of trouble, he's out of there.
I think for me the bigger difference was between the Clone Wars and the Clone Wars. Because once we have Mace Windu's involvement, then it makes sense why he's a distinctly weaker character. But when I saw the Clone Wars, he was not as strong as he ever was in Clone Wars. Which I was just used to him being this stronger character and fiercer.
Yeah, I mean, if he's leading this whole Clone War, as the Jedis think, he was just a little too Snidely Whiplash, where here comes trouble, see ya.
Yeah.
Where I wanted him just to be a little bit more like this, where he was just a wrecking machine. Didn't care what was in front of him. He was just gonna mow down whatever he could.
I know it was a setup for the movie, but I would have liked more Ventress.
Oh yeah,
I really would have liked that because she came in out of nowhere. It was so unexpected, and it was she's such a great character. And I would have liked to see more of her character development as this person that she is in here. And then in the Clone Wars, she's amazing. But here, she has such a small season. Whereas if she had the 60-minute season, I think we would have gotten so much more out of her. Even if she were a side character to Grievous, still have their interaction a little bit more and have more building on that. That's probably what I would have liked to see more.
Okay. Now, before we wrap this up, we now have 2 micro-series in the Star Wars universe with Clone Wars and Forces of Destiny. Are we liking this format? What are the pros and cons?
I love Forces of Destiny. I can't say enough good things about it. It makes me happy, smiley happy every time I watch it, and I keep watching them over and over again, and they keep popping up on my Facebook feed and on YouTube, and they're fantastic. And I will say, now that we've seen the micro series with slightly longer episodes, I kind of like the slightly longer episodes because I get more out of them. But I am enjoying these short plot lines that kind of just build and give a little bit more character to these characters that we already know and love.
I like it in terms of attention span. You don't have to devote too much time to it to get it. And, we're all busy. It all works out. But it is, there's something about Star Wars Rebels, those 22-minute episodes where you can really get into something.
Okay.
I think emotionally envelopes you more when it's longer. So something so short like this, to me, is not as emotionally involved.
So I totally agree with Sarah, and I think it's so much more consumable, especially more easily on the go. You don't have to wait for a certain broadcast or anything like that. So I like the consumability of it. I also, one of the things I like is like the microseries, it's able to fill in narrative gaps. So, you know, you have, for instance, the 2 Rey episodes, which are really neat about these little threads, these strands of story that could have been plucked in the movies, but were totally left undone. But here we get 2 separate shorts just about, you know, this little monster, and then what about Tito, which is really cool. And even on Hoth with Leia, that's really fascinating to explore. Hey, maybe there's some, you know, wampas hanging around somewhere, which is, I think there are opportunities to tell these little narrative, explore narrative gaps, if you will.
And how Leia gets her Ewok dress.
Yes, which is, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is like the best.
Also
All
a
the
little bit
forces
more
of
of
destiny.
Generoso, which was fantastic
Yeah.
to me because, I mean, I'm an animal person in general, but I love cats as well. And that episode just like warmed my heart.
I
like
know.
it was so good.
Yeah, micro series are always fun because within 3 or 4 minutes you get this very tight story. And I always love to see how much they can jam pack these 3 and 4 minute episodes because they don't waste a frame. Everything is there for a reason. Everything is said for a reason. Everything is the camera moves or doesn't move for a reason. I always like to watch it just to see what they can do and what they are doing. And what the difference is between a 3-minute episode and a 12-minute episode. Whereas the 12-minute episodes, the longer episodes, they take more time with the structure. And we also got the interstitials with Rebels, with Star Wars Rebels, a few years ago, and I really like those bite-sized stories. But I guess the big con is when it's over, 3 minutes later, it's like, next.
Right. Well, for the Star Wars Rebels ones, they were introducing us to each of the characters. So it was just to give us a snack, a little appetizer for the series to come.
Right.
Whereas with the Forces of Destiny ones, it was just I mean, you can view it either as a character development piece or narrative insertion, but I think those are they're similar format, but also different storytelling and purposes as well.
But I'm just talking about the format itself being the little micro episodes.
Yeah. I love it overall. I don't think you can necessarily have one with the other. I wouldn't trade one for the other. I like having, you know, our cake and eating it too. Let's have both.
Like I wouldn't mind Rebels episodes, but then getting maybe a little interstitial that maybe would explain something they didn't have enough time to go through in the actual episode itself.
Oh yeah.
Just like what they do with Rebels Recon. Well, they'll go into something that maybe you didn't notice, an Easter egg or something, and I would like to see that maybe in a 2.5 to 2 minute short that would fill in that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
As like complimentary. Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
And then give like someone who doesn't usually direct a chance to direct.
Lucasfilm, are you listening?
Yeah, my hand is raised. All right, well, everyone, thank you very much for listening, all you Skywalkers. We had a great time going into Clone Wars, the micro series. Thank you, Drew, Jocasta Drew Kaplan, Nitzan Harel. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Now, if people want to get a hold of you, Drew, where would they go?
You can find me at StarWarsMaven.info, and I'm also on Twitter and Instagram as StarWarsMaven.
And I am Nitzan Harel, Nitzan Harel, and it's Nitzan Harel 86 on Twitter, and Nitzan Harel on Facebook if you're looking for me, and Instagram.
Nice.
An urgent message from Coruscant. Patch it through.
Kenobi, Skywalker. Coruscant is under siege, and General Grievous has abducted the Supreme Chancellor. You must return immediately. You must rescue Palpatine.
Grievous. Battle stations. All crews to their fighters. Prepare to jump into hyperspace. Move!
That wraps up episode 186 of
Skywalking Through Neverland. We want to thank Jocasta Drew Kaplan, Nitzan Harel, And of course, all of you Skywalkers who listen every single week and tune into YouTube to watch our live recording.
Well, I want to give a thank you to Looking for Leia, of course, the documentary, who was so kind to get me up to GeekGirlCon so that we could do all the shooting and recording.
Not filming.
I know.
They didn't use film cameras.
I didn't say filming.
I know. Very good.
And then just the experience of GeekGirlCon itself. So everyone involved in that. And of course, to Tricia and Teresa. And this week, or in the next couple weeks on Fangirls Going Rogue, we will be releasing our 50th episode that we actually recorded live in person at GeekGirlCon. So the very first time that Tricia, Teresa, and I have sat in a room and recorded together. So that was super fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what else is super fun?
What?
This awesome Halloween shirt that I'm wearing.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this Halloween shirt is Chewie and the Porgs.
Oop.
Come closer.
Sorry,
Okay.
Pushing me to the microphone.
There we go. So we have Chewie. He's dressed as who?
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, and he's holding a little porg who's dressed as?
A vampire.
And there's a little porg who's flying over his head.
That's Batman.
Yeah.
Bat Porg.
Bat porg. There's another porg over on the side, and he's dressed as little mummy porg.
Little mummy Porg, that's
And
right.
then, probably the cutest porg of all is little BB-8 porg. Little BB-8. He's dressed as little BB-8.
And I am wearing the orange version.
Yes. So my parents got black. I got a green, like, soft t-shirt. Richard got an orange shirt. They look good on pretty much every color. What would you say is your favorite, Richard?
Orange.
Orange. You like orange?
I love me an orange shirt.
I'm not sure what orange is, but I like orange shirts.
That's not a color. That's not even a word.
Okay.
It's orange.
All right. Well, those shirts are available. And coming up, there's going to be a flash sale on TeePublic. In fact, I just got this. Let's see. October 7th through 9th. So this weekend, there's going to be a 30% off flash sale. So as far as I know, they've never done this kind of sale. They've only had like the $14 tee sale. So just so you know, 30% off of, I believe, everything. Flash sale. So we not only have t-shirts of these designs that I've made, and remember, we have a BB-8 Mickey ears design. We have a Christmas BB-8 design.
A Skywalker of the Week design.
So all of these will be available as mugs, as t-shirts, as like little notebooks, as phone
Cases.
Cases, thank you. Cases, as like laptop cases. It's pretty cool. So that's a 30% off sale. And then, so next week, October 11th through 15th, will be the usual $14 tea sale. And then on through the month. But that's coming up in October, just so you know. So this
Wow.
fun 30% off sale is just this coming weekend.
Already off their low prices.
Yes. Now, we are part of RetroZap.com, where you can find articles and awesome shows like Brews and Blasters,
The Sandcrawler Podcast.
Beltway Banthas,
The Deucecast Movie Show.
S Cubed, which is Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels, which is hard to say, so that's why they say S Cubed.
All right. Kanada's Castle, Techno Retro Dads, and Talking Apes TV, which we've rebranded into Talking Apes TV Specials.
Oh.
Now that we've reviewed all of the TV series, now we're going to dive into talking with some authors, people in the fan community, and some of the actors. Now, coming up, we have E.C. Gaska, who wrote Conspiracy of the Planet of the Apes and wrote The Unknown Ape in the book Tales from the Planet of the Apes. We have Dean Preston, who is one of the authors of the Simian Scrolls fanzine.
The Simian Squirrels.
Simian Scrolls.
I heard Simian Squirrels.
Usually I hear squirrels in my sleep. So tune in. Our first episode of the Talking Apes TV special should be going up sometime next week. And if you want to hear more from us, you can always go to jedinews.co.uk. And sadly, Mark Newbold is no longer there.
No.
Did you hear that news?
Yes, we did.
He's going on to greener pastures. You know, I just got an image of Mark Newbold on Naboo with his arms all waved out and spinning around and around, singing Sound of Music.
Oh, that's very cute.
All right, now, Sarah, if people want to write an iTunes review in any country they are currently in, what should they do?
They should head to their iTunes store in their respective countries. Or I guess it's called Apple Podcasts now. So head to your Apple Podcast app.
And if they want to get a hold of us on social media,
Well, we are at Skywalking Pod on Twitter and Instagram. And you can join our Facebook group and get to know not only us, but all the other Skywalkers who listen. It's a wonderful, wonderful place, and it's very family friendly. And you just have to search Facebook for Skywalking Through Neverland group, and then you have to answer the 2 questions that pop up. If you don't answer them, we don't let you in.
There are people been in that queue for weeks. They can't get out of queue purgatory until they answer the question.
Exactly.
And coming soon to our Facebook group, we'll see Chris Marino in his Halloween t-shirt.
Exciting!
You know what? Go ahead and just take off that note about Snapchat, because we ain't never doing that.
Yes.
All right, now, stay tuned for bits of conversation that didn't make it into the show, but we thought it'd be fun to hear. And then always remember...
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland, all rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said.
I'm going to start recording. How about that?
You're embarrassing us in front of our Berlin listeners.
We're recording now. What is with this face you have?
People have been commenting that it looks weird that we're just looking forward.
Yes.
We're not looking at each other while we're talking.
Okay.
So while you're reading this, I'm going to go ahead and look at you.
Okay. But that's very distracting. I don't like it.
This will be very hard to cut around. But
Okay. Well.
All right.
Take 1.
Here we go.
You know, normally when I do these at home, it takes me like 16 takes. Hi, this is Russ Flores from... I almost said Skywalking.
All right, now, if any of the Skywalkers have an idea of what they thonk. Uh-oh. Here goes the downward spiral.
Right.
Then never mind then. I stopped for nothing then.
So should I just start? Should I just get into it?
I can lead you in.
Okay.
So, Sarah, you and the girls had quite the weekend this last weekend. Let everyone know what exactly you did.
All right.
Arntel?
Can you say let everyone know? Or I want to hear
All right.
about it. Like, be like, you know.
Be interested?
Yes.
Okay, Sarah, I am so interested in what you and the girls did last weekend. Please tell me now.
Without being facetious.
I was leading you into a Duran Duran song. All right, no more of this. Ready? And was the fashion show... Oh, you know what? Take a second here and say hello to Randy Martinez.
Hi, Randy.
Because he thinks that you're a clown in your Sally makeup, so scare
Sally.
him. Scare him.
Sally.
Go boo! Now, Drew, give us your synopsis of Season 3, beginning with where we begin.
So we...
Hold on.
Oh.
All right, and here we go. On episode 169 and 164, we reviewed...
174.
What did I say?
64.
Oh. I did not mean that at all. All right, Drew, give us a synopsis of this series.
Great.
Season.
Series.
Okay. Now, Drew, if Anakin were to close up this segment, what would he say?
May the Force be with you.
Nitzan?
Always.
Sarah?
Padme, come here.
That's quick.
Or impressive. Most impressive.
Oh, Richard wins.
Mic drop.
I didn't know what you were going for there. To be inclusive and, you can cut that out or not. All right. Yay! Was that good?
I think so.
I'm going to stop it.